Every once in a while as a YouTuber, I come across a game that is so unique and compelling, I have to play it on the channel. And such is the case with Duchy. This game is a, wait for it, deck-building roguelike strategy game themed entirely around Tetris. And I'm sure that for many of you that sounds bizarre, and I understand why. However, I can tell you, it works really, really well. This might just be one of the best games of the year. I'm going to show you how this game works, and hopefully you're going to find it just as interesting as I do. Now, I should note that before we get into this, there are 3 different factions that you could play with in this game, which are going to have a different set of starting buildings that can show up on your Tetris board. And you'll understand how this works in a bit. For right now, I only have the Duchy unlocked. I'm very close to getting the Republic, but right now, this is my only option. And starting up in Act 1, you'll see here that we have branching paths as we explore the world. Very Slay the Spire in its style. In this case, we can have 2 different peaceful regions of different terrain types. This one focuses mostly on some plains and some trees, but this one is a very even balance between the 2. I think I'll go ahead and pick this region just so I can show it off. And this is going to place me on a Tetris board. And from here, we're going to be playing, you guessed it, a proper game of Tetris, with pretty much all the rules you would normally expect. If we were to finish out a row like this, for example, we're going to gain some sort of a bonus. So in this case, you're going to see by exploring this line, we're going to harvest resources from the map depending on the terrain of the tiles. And we got a little bit of food, we got a little bit of wood. There's also gold as a resource, but we'll hold on to that for later. You do, as you would expect, gain extra resources if you explore multiple rows at the same time. So saving up for some big combos can be a very good way to do things. And for that extent, you may want to reserve some of your parts to pull onto that a little bit later. In my case, I'm a little bit lazy and impatient. Let's just go ahead and finish this row out so we can keep things nice and clean. Now, once in a while, you're going to run into a special building like we do with this watchtower. This watchtower has a range to it, and for all nearby plains or fields within that range, we're going to get military units. In this case, it's going to be some archers. Now, I don't need military units on this particular map, but this will be very important for us later on. So to demonstrate, let's try placing this. I think right over here is fine for the moment. It's not a good spot, but I don't really care that much. You can see we just got a bunch of archers because we do have some plains nearby. And we're going to go ahead and clear out this line, place some trees over here, place some more trees over here. Now, you might think these are terrible places for trees because it doesn't work well with the watchtower. Well, we have another building. That's going to be the wood clearer. If I were to place this right down here, it's going to chop down a bunch of the trees and turn them into fields, getting me some wood. And with the extra plains, we can get ourselves some more archers. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Continue filling things out a little bit over here. We do have access to a farm, which will be useful. I'm trying to think ahead as far as what tiles we're going to be placing down next, so let's just go ahead and place this right here. This is going to convert some plains into fields, and when we explore these rows, we're going to get extra food. Also, you can see we got even more of these archers. Let's go ahead and place this here. This automatically is going to get converted, just like so. And now we actually could fill in 4 rows, so let's pull out our reserved part, place this right here, and boom! Multi-exploration! Boom! Give me all those resources. We do need as many of these later on as we can, I promise you, so it is going to be important. Let's just go ahead and clear out one more row. This is kind of the best that I can do, but we get a lot of extra food as a result. Boom, boom, bada, bada, boom. And we can just place this. It doesn't really matter. Right here's fine. Okay, that clears out a map. We didn't have any gaps. That felt pretty good. We collected a whole bunch of resources. Now, you're probably wondering, why do we care about these resources? What can you do with them? Patience, young grasshopper. I will show you exactly how this works. Now, at the end of every one of these encounters, we do get to choose a new card to add to our deck. Some of them are going to be economic in their focus. Some of them are going to be militaristic to get me some military units. I've also got a few things unlocked because I have played this game a fair bit before, and now I have access to things like rivers and stuff. So a watermill could be kind of interesting for us. Or we could get a roadhouse. Let's see, 5 gold for every terrain square in its row. I'm guessing that's unique terrains or something like that. And a so that'd be a way of generating some gold. Or we have a burgomaster, which can get me even more gold for connected production buildings and fields. I'm going to take the watermill just to hedge my bets and have something that can work with the river in case we get to one. But we may or we may not. So now that we've added something to our deck, we move on further. We can go to a guild, and here we'll be able to start getting some more cards. Get a military card focused on range units, get a random military card, or get a random production card. I really care about the early game economy, so we're going to go ahead and do that instead. That gives us a hunting lodge, so we can get some new military units, some axemen, and some food for all connected force pieces. Okay. There's also a tax office for buildings getting me money, or when explored, gain 75% of all other exploration gains on this row. Interesting. So I guess this just, like, not quite doubles the impact of exploring a row? It's okay. I guess a town could be kind of good. I haven't played with this card before. I'm kind of curious. But the Hunting Lodge is both military and production, which I think is just going to give us more versatility. So let's go ahead and do that. Next encounter, we can choose a resource to get. Now, this is where I want to start talking about what resources we can spend, how, and why. So let's go ahead and take a look at our deck of different buildings right here. These are all the different buildings in the game, and what you can see here is we can spend resources in order to make some of them more powerful. So for example, if I were to go to this farm and spend some wood and some food, we could upgrade it from level 2 to level 3, which would increase the range from 2 to 3, which means a lot of extra fields. And a lot of fields could sync up really well with different types of cards. We could instead also go to the wood clearer, and that's going to get me extra lumber, which is not a bad plan. In fact, I'll definitely go ahead and do that. And why not? Let's just go ahead and upgrade the farm. I'm going to bank on getting a lot of food and fields early on. That spends a ton of my resources, but it's fine. So what do we want next going forward? I'll probably take the food, because food has a few different uses for it. Yeah, let's go ahead and move up over here. I'm going to take the food, and I'll show you another way that we can make use of it. Once we get into this next region, now actually I didn't think about this, but by making this choice, we've locked ourselves to go into a peaceful region. If we had gone down over here, we could have gone to a hostile region and fought our first round of enemies. And that actually would have been preferable, though technically more dangerous. By going to a peaceful region, we're going to be making the end boss at the end of this act a bit tougher. But you know what? It's also going to be easy for us to generate resources, so I'll live with it. I'm going to spend that food we just got to upgrade our wood clearer one more time, which is going to greatly increase its range again. And this is a very aggressive set of early investments, but I think having lots of wood and food in the beginning of the game is useful, because the more of these cards you can upgrade, the stronger you're going to be for the rest of your run. Now, one other thing you can do with food, and one of the reasons I chose this because I think it's more useful, is you can also increase the number of buildings that we bring along. So right now I have a farm, we have a watchtower, and we have a wood clearer. I can spend some food, and that gets me another slot. In this case, I want to make sure I bring along a watermill, because I know there are some rivers on this particular map. I'm not as interested probably in the watchtower, since it's a peaceful region, so we're going to bring along a hunting lodge and try to get some more food. Eventually, as you progress through the game, you'll also be able to hire mercenaries, more military units, by using some of your excess resources. But that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We don't have to worry about that right now. For now, let's just go ahead and play another game of Tetris. Now, we should have mostly forests this time around. So I'm going to focus on trying to make a nice, clean setup over here. We do want to place down this hunting lodge probably, yeah, I guess right over here is fine. As long as it's connecting to a bunch of forests, we'll get some food and we'll get some extra axes. And by connected, it simply means any of these pieces, whatever shape they are, connected together in one continuous setup, right? So by placing this right here, it's not even just that it's adjacent, it's that it's connected to the overall forest. If you were to continue placing them way over here, we'd still get a benefit. So we want to have one giant forest. That is the goal. I'm going to hold on to that river, because we might be able to use that to finish out some extra tiles in a bit. For now, let's go ahead and continue working on, let's say, I guess this over here would be fine. Plus a piece right here. Again, just continue to get some extra benefit. Place this here, speed this up, it's good. This would now be a little bit difficult to place. Let's go ahead and just finish this off like so. And that's going to get me a fair bit of extra resources. We get gold for the river. I didn't actually know that because I haven't done this before, so that's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and place down a big honkin' farm. Where do I want to place this? That's a great question. I'm trying to think ahead of time what I'm going to do with these extra pieces. This will probably go right here. I can't... How am I going to make this work? How am I going to make this work? I feel like I have to place this here, even though it's not a very good spot. I could be wrong on that, but I feel like that's kind of what I want to do. And then we will place you, I guess, right along... Yeah. I want to keep the river going as... like uninterrupted as possible. It's just that's going to be kind of difficult to do without breaking a few things, I think. Ugh, the timing of this kind of sucks. Let's try placing you up over here, I guess. That'll be fine. I want to place the wood clearer right along here. That's going to chop down a bunch of trees, but also then immediately turn a bunch of them into fields, so we'll get even more value out of that. I can then take you, move you here like so. I want to save this for a couple parts in a little bit. So what if I then... This isn't very good. What if... I want to save this piece for right here. I could just accept that this is a terrible river. And I guess I will probably just go ahead and do that. Can I find a way to make this work and fit this in here? Not really. So we're just going to go ahead and place you here, commit to this. It's fine. It's still one giant continuous force, so we're getting a lot of value out of it. I want to place you right along here. That's going to chop down even more trees, then create some more fields, so we get even more value. And we're going to finish out 3 more rows, so I get a huge combo. Lots of resources now. Beautimous. See if we can create a way to make this water mill useful. I guess I'll try doing this here. It's supposed to be good for all, like, connecting river tiles, of which we don't have very many left. This is going to be kind of awkward and gross, and I don't love it. The river's kind of hard to work with, I'm not going to lie. I do struggle with it a lot, but we can at least finish out some extra rows by doing this. I did not realize it was actually going to connect up as beautifully as it just did. That's amazing. Well, let's just go ahead and finish out this row. That's going to be one more round of things that we can enjoy. Perfect. Looking good. All right, so that's going to finish out another peaceful map. Now, what you may have just noticed for a brief moment, I haven't talked about this before, but by having these military units and not having enemies to fight, all the extra units just converted directly into gold. So that's why having military units isn't a bad thing, even on a peaceful map, but I'm still mostly focused on my wood and my food. And we got quite a lot out of the arrangement. What else can we get over here? Well, we can get something new called technology cards. Now, this is something you will unlock as you play through the game. You can get something like, let's say, a heavy plow, which is going to mean that I now get extra food whenever I explore, so finish a row, with a field. That's not bad. I mean, it's just straight out extra food. Alternatively, Strong Defender. This is going to increase my maximum health. We haven't talked about that yet, and we will in a bit, but this actually could be good too. Or we could have a method of turning forests into plains and then recruiting more military units, which could be good, but I'm going to go ahead and pick up the heavy plow. I want to have that extra food generation. I'm going very greedy here. Let's go to the trading fair, see if there's anything that I want to buy. We could sell, let's say, some of our extra wood in order to get some extra food or gold or whatever. It's not bad, actually. I do think the extra food is worth it because, again, I can use that to unlock more slots as we go into more fights. Let's take a quick look at my deck and see what we can upgrade. We could upgrade the watermill, or we could upgrade the heavy plow. The heavy plow upgrading to getting me 4 from fields. This pairs beautifully with a fully upgraded farm. The watermill, on the other hand, would get me 50% more food from rivers. And last time we got like 64 food. So this would be worth like a lot, like 90 food potentially. I think it'll be more consistent to get the heavy plow, so I'm going to go ahead and upgrade this. That's kind of my only option. Now we have another choice before us, and this time I am going to be going for a fight. I do not want another peaceful region. Let's go to a region with a lot of plains in it. This one should be fine. There is no river, which means the watermill is not very useful to me, so I'm going to be removing that from the deck this time. And obviously, we do still want to have some military units, because this time we are going to be fighting. I could unlock another slot over here, but I don't have anything else that I want to bring with me, so we're going to ignore that. Let's pay attention here, though. We now see that the enemy is going to be bringing along some of their own buildings. These have to be dropped into your map, just like any other Tetris piece. But, just like with your own buildings, they get buffed depending on what is adjacent to them. So the goal, as you might expect, is to place these in such a way that you minimize the number of enemies that will be on a map, and maximize how many units you are going to have. Let's put that into practice and jump into another game over here. So we're going to be starting off with some forests and such. I'll go ahead and place you here. This enemy alarm tower is going to recruit more units depending on military buildings aligned with it. Aligned with it. Okay, so we got to be careful about where we place things. I could tuck this away in a corner, and I guess that's okay. I'm going to instead place you right along here is fine for the moment. Let's go ahead and hold on to that. I want to place you here. We could place down a hunting lodge in just a minute. But where do I want to place that? It has to have continuous forests. If I don't think I'm going to be able to continue moving the forests together, the hunting lodge isn't worth quite as much to me, is it? No, it's not. All right, I think we will place you here. Then we are going to be placing you along here. What you basically want to do, though, is because this thing gets extra value for being aligned to military units, we really do not want to place any sort of military things in this column for the rest of the game, which is going to get a little bit tedious for us. We don't have any value out of this wood clearer or the hunting lodge right now. This is extremely unfortunate. Well, if I place this here, we at least chop down some trees. It's not much, but I guess I'll do it. We get a tiny bit of wood. Absolutely useless. Another military building. This one we just can't place in this area over here. We can place this in a corner, though. That's going to be fine. Place you along here. We can place down this right here and get at least a double row exploration like so. There really aren't very many trees on this, so I don't have a lot of hope that we're going to find a good use for the hunting lodge. What I need is a really, really good farm. And maybe we'll be able to pull that off in just a second. If we place you along here, hold on to this. I'm going to place down the hunting lodge, let's say here, though it probably isn't going to matter. Let's be honest with ourselves. I'm going to place you along here. The farm can go right... Well, where do I want this? I guess right here is okay. This is going to create a whole bunch of fields for me, but I don't want to fill in this last slot. This is a great spot for us to place a watchtower and get a ton of archers. So I'm going to leave this open for as long as I reasonably can. Let's go ahead and place you along like this. We actually do have some trees now, so we can start doing some harvesting. This alarm tower can't go next to any other military buildings again, so I'm going to place this probably up in a corner like so. It's not aligned with anything that I'm worried about. If I place you here, this would be fine, so we'll be able to do that. Okay. Then I can place you along here. That's still a continuous force. We get some additional axemen. Good. The watchtower's finally here. Drop it right along here to get as many values out of these fields as possible. That's now taken care of. Absolutely phenomenal. If I place this down, I'm going to struggle to place down any additional future parts. If I do this. Yeah, this should be fine. We'll do this. This gets me a couple additional fields plus some more archers. So we're getting quite a large group right here. 50 archers to work with. Not bad. Another combo means even more food. So we're now rolling in food, which is interesting. I'm going to place you down right along here, you down right along here. That's going to finish out 3 more rows. And I do want to place you down because that means more connections to the axemen for connected forests. All right. That finishes up my game of Tetris. Hopefully it makes sense why I placed things the way that I did. Now we have to go into a combat sequence. So what's going to happen is we have to pick, I don't know, any sort of unit, let's say our axemen here, and we could either reinforce with our existing units or go attack enemies, and you have to have one long contiguous set of orders, like so. But there's a couple more things you need to consider. First off, there is a combat triangle in this game. If we take a look up over here, we can see that swordsmen do beat archers, archers beat axemen, axemen beat swordsmen. So to be effective against my enemy here, what I would like to have are axes to defeat the swordsmen and archers to defeat their axemen. What benefit do you get? 50% extra combat strength, so you win more resoundingly. And remember, the more military units we have at the end of a map, the more gold I get. You also will have to join your forces up at some point. So for example, I can't do, let's say, the axemen attacking over here against the swordsmen and then say, hey, archers, go attack. No, it all has to be one big consistent order. So they're all going to join up forces at some point. When they do, the smaller of the group is going to convert into whatever type is the larger group. In this case, 8 axemen into 50 archers. That's going to be 58 archers. At this point, though, I have so many archers, I don't think that anything I do is really going to make much of a difference. I think no matter what, we're going to end up having archers and no axemen. So it's going to be what it's going to be. We will first attack these axemen here with these archers, then reinforce, then attack. But the enemy's going to get a big attack boost against me, so this is still going to be kind of tough. But let's just go ahead and put this into practice, and you're going to see why this works. So we're going to attack over here, immediately destroy them, move over here. Our numbers are dwindling, get some reinforcements, attack again, they'll do 50% more damage. I end up with 19 remaining military units. That's going to be 19 more gold for me. And that is how combat, generally speaking, is going to work in this game. The combat in the game does get significantly more difficult as your enemies start getting more and more dangerous military buildings that you have to then place. Plus, at the end of every act, there is going to be a boss battle, and they can get really quite frantic. What else do we want to pick up here? Fertile ground, terrain, considered a plain, forest, and river. It's all the above and gets me a bunch of value when explored. That's nice, I guess. Alternatively, we could go for a sawmill, focus more on the rivers, and get some wood instead of food. It's not bad, yeah. I guess the fertile grounds seem more attractive to me, though. If it's all of these types, I should be able to activate any adjacency bonuses on buildings pretty easily. So let's go ahead and try playing with the fertile grounds. I think that will be okay. All right, so we move on. Now we have to get to a peaceful region instead of a hostile region. That means the end boss is going to get stronger again. Are there any upgrades that I want to pick up? Well, we could upgrade the fertile grounds and make it worth 8. Yeah, sure, I guess. I mean, it's a relatively cheap upgrade for me. I have just enough wood to make it work. We could also sell cards that we no longer think we are going to use, but in this case, I'm quite happy with this. All right, peaceful region it is. I'm going to spend some food to just go ahead and unlock a couple of additional slots. We might as well just bring everything along here, even though I don't expect to get much value out of, let's say, plains. You never know. With the wood clear, we might create plains to make the farm a little bit better. It could be a thing. And here goes nothing. All right, once again, another game of Tetris. What shall we do? Well, let's go ahead and place you along over here. I'll hold on to this part for a brief moment. We're going to place you along here like so. That's going to get me the adjacency. We could start placing down some lakes, which I guess I will do. Sure, let's place you here. And then I'm going to swap you to hold on to you for later. Place you here. That's going to get some more value like so. We'll place down a forest along here. And we're going to be placing down, hold on to this actually, because that's going to be really good. Let's place down this wood cutter right along here, create a bunch of plains, which again does not immediately translate into some food, but it will once we explore these regions. I can place, let's see, you can go here, and then we can place down you here. That's going to continue getting cut down, good. Keep in mind, we now still have an adjacent continuous forest as long as I keep this going. If we had cut any further, that would have gone. That would have been hilarious and sad at the same time. We actually will be able to place down a farm here pretty soon, and that's actually not going to be half bad. So I do look forward to that. Let's go ahead and place you along right here. That's going to finish out a couple of rows. Place down a farm right here. Get me these fields going. All right, so we'll get even more food. Get some continuous rivers like so. And I don't want to place down this forest yet, but a fertile plain could be kind of good for me. If we place you right along here, I assume this still continues the river, does it? Maybe it does not. I am moderately confused on how that works, I'm not going to lie. Place that down right over here, let's see. Line explored, it does not continue the river. All right, so even though this is considered to be a river, it does not actually join things up. That sucks, actually. I wish I had known that that was a thing. But oh well, it's fine. Let's place down the watchtower along here. This is going to finish up an additional row for me. We'll have a watermill. I just got to get the river nice and continuous to actually get any particular value out of it. Actually, never mind. It already has enough continuous river that we did still get value. So wait, no, even though it doesn't graphically join them up, it does still count. Oh, nice. Okay, well, that's great. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Love to hear it. Go ahead and place you along here. Keep the forest going. Get more lines, place you here, continue the river, perfect. You can go along here, I guess, that'll be fine. It's gonna be a little bit tricky to finish this out the way that I want. So we're going to place you here, I guess, maybe. You can go up over here, that joins things up, okay. And we'll place you along here, which gets even more food, and that's gonna have to be good enough. All right. That was not horrible. It was okay, though. We did get quite a lot of food, considering we didn't have a single plane on this. Now, that's going to turn your attention to something called challenges and a progression system. I'm going to go ahead and pick up militia, I think. Extra military buildup could be kind of good for me, I guess. I don't know. It seems fine. So how does progression work in this game? Great question. If we take a look over here, we can take a look at something called missions. There are common challenges, which could be something like have 1,000 gold in reserve, or place 4 allied military buildings of the same unit type in a single round, etc. And as you complete these, you're going to gain some points. There's also some that are specific to the faction that you are playing. In my case, I'm playing as the Duchy. This could lead to Amateur Gardener, and these are more important quests because by completing them, you make future runs with this faction better. So as an example, you may have noticed in this run, I did finish up something here called Advanced Farming. Explore 5 fields at once in a single row. This got me the Garden card, and this is now permanently going to be in my starting deck for every future run with the Duchy. This means my buildings are going to turn a random adjacent plane into a field whenever placed. Okay. We could also replace the farm with a fortified farm, which has garrisons as well as a longer range. make the garden card better, etc., etc. But what do you do with the actual points that you pick up as you continue to progress? Well, that's where you spend it over here in the progress tree. You can spend them to unlock new mechanics. For example, a technology like clearing could then randomly appear in a run, turn a forest into a plain, and gain some extra wood. Or you could gain some additional technology like erudition. After each round, you have a 4th level 1 card to select from. I mean, that could be pretty good. Let's go ahead and unlock it. We could also unlock a new location, a port. Refill your defense or upgrade a card for free whenever visiting this location. Sure, and if I save up enough points, we will then be able to unlock the Republic as a new faction. Earlier on, there's going to be new buildings available, right? Lots of new terrain types and stuff. That's how I unlocked the river in the first place. That's how I unlocked the technology or the mercenaries. Blah, blah, blah. And the progression rate in this game is actually reasonable. I feel like you get a decent number of challenges complete most runs. My first time actually playing this game, I did beat it all the way at Act 3, which was very, very difficult. But that was enough to get me all the way up here to Optimizer, and everything below it I picked up in a single run. So you do get some pretty reasonable progress. Anyway, let's continue with the main run. Do we want some gold or do we want some wood? I'm actually going to want some wood because that's going to be more useful for early game upgrades, though we will be needing the gold eventually. Then we'll go to the trading fair where I can spend some of my resources to get money or just trade for other things. I guess 250 food for 500 wood is kind of a lot. I don't dislike this idea, or we could just get a bunch of gold. What do I think that I'm going to need? Well, we're about to get to a boss battle, and that means I want to have a lot of military units. So upgrades to things like the Watchtower and the Hunting Lodge are kind of important for me. Frankly, that's my only 2 military buildings. Actually, I didn't even realize how bad we are at this. So yeah, I have to get upgrades for these. That means I need a lot of lumber, like a lot of it. So we're going to go ahead and do this trade like so. All right, that's going to bring us to Act 1. The Wall. And unfortunately, because we did have some peaceful fights, it's going to be a very strong wall. Before we get into it, let's go ahead and upgrade the Watchtower to level 3. And I'll upgrade the Hunting Lodge as well for a bit more axemen. And then with the rest of these resources, I mean, what next? What do we care about here? Probably another upgrade to the Fertile Grounds. It was pretty good, and I feel like it'll last us for the entirety of the game. And then with the garden, we could spend some wood to basically just get additional food. Could actually be useful because it might create more fields for the Watchtower to get more military units. I'm going to do that, though I think that might be a bit of a diminishing return. Okay, with all those upgrades done, let's go to the wall and explore our first boss battle. They're going to bring along a strategic pavilion with a huge garrison, plus some wooden fortresses and some rally points. I'm going to be bringing along everything I've got. We could also bring along a mercenary camp and spend, let's say, either some gold or some food to do that. Doesn't actually seem like a bad idea. Spending some gold to have more military units so I can defeat my enemy and not take damage is worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mercenary camp and pay for that. And here we go. Now, the way that this boss battle is going to work is you're going to see that the enemy wall is located right here. We really do not want to build up any tiles to cross into this. Consider this right here, everything below, to be my limited working space. But as we fill in these tiles, the wall is naturally going to start pushing back. And as it does, its current strength of 210 is going to start being reduced. So the goal of this particular map is to fill it in as thoroughly as possible until the wall gets pushed all the way up to the very top. So let's go ahead and start filling in some of the gaps right along there. I don't really want to play my Watchtower yet. Let's hold on to that until we can find something a bit better. I do see an enemy strategic pavilion coming up. This gains strength for being adjacent to military buildings, so I want to tuck this away in a corner if we can. We will place you right here, I guess, is fine. That's going to continue spreading out some of the river. The fertile plains are fine. We can place you over here. I gotta be careful, because if this gets placed next to an enemy rally point, this counts as a plain, which means it gains some strength, and I don't want that. So I'm going to have to find a better spot for this. If I place you along over here, though, I think that's okay. I'm going to place you here so it's not attached to any planes at the moment. And hopefully it stays that way. Move a plane along over here, place a river to kind of lock this into place. And I have my own mercenary camp, which I will do. Therefore, this rally point right here is not going to be useful to the enemy. Or rather, it's not going to get any stronger, which is good enough. Wood clear, we have to be careful where I place this, because if it's close to the rally point, it would actually, let's say, chop these down, create planes, and then this does get stronger, which would be bad. So if I place this right along here, this will be getting me 3 additional rows. We get a lot of resources. I can then take my wood clearer and go ahead and chop some of this stuff down. That's going to create some fields and some plains. I could then place down the watchtower right along, let's say, here I guess is fine. That creates a lot more value, but then the farm goes down, getting some more plains, which gets even more archers. Not a lot, mind you. Strategic pavilion. I still can't place this in a good spot. So this wooden fortress likes to be next to forests. If I place this over here in a corner, it can't. That's fine, yes. I could place you along here, and the wood clear will clear some more wood out. I will turn those into fields and turn that into more archers. Perfect. And then more plains could go along here. Unless there's another spot we want to go with. Again, we can't place forests over here, so we got to be careful about that. I think I do want to continue getting as many farms as possible. More fields, more archers. That's a lot of strength. Hold on to you for the moment. Place you up over here. Place the river along over here out of the way. This hunting lodge is kind of useless to me because I'm not going to be able to get much value out of it. Unless I place it... Can I place it like this? Yeah, I could actually. If I place this hunting lodge right here, it's not attached to anything, but it does get some more strength from my garrison technology. Then we place this along here. That spreads out some of the trees, so we get a few more axes. And then what? Well, if I place more forest along here, we could. I'm getting dangerously close with their swordsmen, but this is okay. So that finishes that off. Sure, why not? How else can we do this if I place you... There's nowhere to place this in a way that's not going to trigger the wall, I'm afraid to say. So we're kind of out of luck here. This just is what it is. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and place this. By crossing that line, the wall is now locked into place. It's going to get placed here, and it's now only a strength of 30. That is as good as it's going to get. Now, what we see here is that the enemy has quite a lot of units. Unfortunately, we didn't lock any of these down behind our reserves. We could have done that. We should have done that, but I did not. So now we have to properly fight. They've got all 3 unit types, and I need to think about how we want to approach this to take advantage of the rock, paper, scissors. If I want to kill the swordsman, I need to use the axemen, which are very weak. If I want to kill the axemen, I need to use the archers. Well, I don't have any swordsmen, so we're going to be weak against their archers no matter what. What I could do is have these archers fight these axemen, which gets me a 50% boost. It's going to weaken these guys quite a lot, down to like, I don't know, 9 archers left, maybe 8. Then combine them with these axemen, and as long as the axemen are more than the archers, we get a few more of them. Then attack here. I don't know if they'll be strong enough to fight against these swordsmen, though. We gotta try and pray that I'm right on this with the math. So we'll do that, and then whatever lives gets reinforced over here, then fights, then fights, then fights. All right, let's give this one a go. Pray that this works. All right, so you get reduced down to 7. They are gonna join up. That's 16. That's gonna fight over here with a 50% bonus. That's 4 left. Get reinforced. 75 fighting against 17. Easy enough. We have 58. Fight against 18. We have 40. Fight against 30. We're gonna have 10 left, and therefore we have defeated the first boss. Huzzah! All right, that actually worked out pretty reasonably, even though it's a very ugly map. Now, we've done pretty well for ourselves in this run here, so you might be wondering, well, what would happen if you had left some enemies on the map and all your units were dead? The answer is, for every 1 enemy that is left on the map, you would take 1 damage to your overall defense right here, and we basically have 60 hit points in the run. So this is effectively your life bar. 60 enemies survive, you lose the game. However, after every map, you will be able to spend some of your gold to regenerate a small piece of life. I think it's like 4 gold for every 1 life. So you can buy your way back into the game simply by virtue of having a lot of gold, and sometimes that's going to be necessary. Now let's see, we desperately need to have some additional military units, but I also want to get some stone cutters, because very soon we're about to get access to stone as a 4th resource. Okay, let's go ahead and pick this up just to unlock some more economy. We're going to need it. It's not optional eventually. Now, as we enter into Act 2, mountains are going to become a new terrain type. And the problem is I can only ever have 3 terrain types in the game. So we already had 3. I have to sacrifice something. Do we want to abandon all of the plains, all of the forests, or all of the rivers? Well, taking a look at the cards that we have, I've only got 1 card that benefits from a river, and I haven't spent any money upgrading it. So getting rid of the watermill doesn't seem like it's that difficult. We could just leave the river. And all we're losing out on is some gold generation, but we keep our wood and food generation. I think that's going to be the right call as we go into Act 2. So let's go to this water mill. We're going to go ahead and actually sell this card. I just don't have any reason to keep it anymore. Let's get 50 gold. Now the stonecutter down here, I do want to upgrade. We are going to harvest 30 stone for every building aligned with it. It's not a great card if I'm honest, but it is okay. It's actually pretty horrible. Whatever, I've got some resources. Go ahead and spend a little bit. Oh, and we got a progress point too. Cool, what do I want? Well, I think I'll just save some points and try to unlock the Republic for a future playthrough. That could be fun. Hello, the university. We could get a building card or a university card. Well, what comes after this? We could go to a hostile region. Yeah, I don't want the boss to get any stronger, so I'm gonna go to the university over here. Do you want a technology card that boosts exploration or any technology? I'm going to take any technology and just see what our options are here. Kindling, gain some additional wood when exploring a building adjacent to a forest. Gain money whenever exploring a single row, but not a multi-row. Or a 20% chance of just doubling up some resources. I feel like the odds are we're actually going to get some value out of the wheelbarrow. I know you're supposed to try for combos, but the further you get into the game, the harder that is to pull off. So let's go to this hostile region next, and this is going to have some mountains added into the game, so we have to worry about that next. And the enemy has a whole bunch of swordsmen and axemen specifically. Now, if I had a whole bunch of military cards in my deck, I'd be looking at this and saying, okay, well, that means I want to make sure we have a source of axes, and we want to have a source of arrows, which I already have. In fact, actually, the fact that I don't have more military cards is feeling a little bit upsetting right now, but okay, it's just going to be what it's going to be. So here we go, mercenary camp. It's just going to get placed somewhere. I'm not going to hold on to it. It just is what it is. So we'll do that, place you along here, I guess. Then let's just go ahead and toss in some forest, something like that'll be fine. Do that. The mercenary camp doesn't benefit from anything in particular, so we can place this kind of wherever I want, and that'll be completely okay. Place down a farm right along here, sure. And another set of plains, keep these fields going. The hunting lodge doesn't do me a lot of good, so we're going to hold off on that. Keep the mountains going. I kind of am too dependent on long pieces for this. So I'm going to go ahead and do this along so, and then we're going to place the fertile fields right along here, and then we're going to place you here, then we're going to place down the watchtower over here. That gets me a whole load of archers. I'm going to place down my own hunting lodge now, not the alarm tower. We're going to try to hold on to this and never play it again if we can avoid it. I may not have that choice, but we're going to see. This is obviously not a great spot because it's not going to give me much in the way of fields, but we do get to do 4 of these rows at the same time, so that's a lot of resources. I'm not upset about that. Get some additional trees along there. We can place down some more fields like so that gets me a lot more archers. Good. More mountains. That's going to be a double row exploration. Cool, so we'll pick that up. The wood clearer. Yeah, we could do that. I guess we kind of have our value here already. So I'll just place you there. That's going to chop down a few things to get some lumber. Place down the stonecutter next to a building, because that's what gets me some stone, even though it's not a lot. Place you along here for a last round of archers. Place you along here. That's going to finish out another row, plus we get some gold. The siege camp coming up is going to reduce the strength of all of my military buildings, but I can keep this far away from the group and it's not going to matter. Garrison 17 versus Garrison 18. Yeah, I mean, it's probably better to keep the alarm tower out of the way. So we'll go ahead and do this right along here. You are going to get placed, I guess right along here will be fine. Get some trees, get a little bit of extra gold, finish out a single row. This is why I went for the single row thing, because I knew there were going to be plenty of times where that happens and we get ourselves a bit of extra gold as a result. So you get placed along like that. That's, again, more gold, and good enough. Okay, and by locking that enemy building down, we prevented more of them from spawning. So we have a ton of archers to work with, which would be good against their axes, and really nothing else. Ugh. Well, I should be able to use my 50% combat bonus to take out 1 round of their swordsmen, then we'll join up, then we'll do this, then we'll do this. So let's see how this plays out. Kill them, 1 left, perfect math, there we go, jump over there. We're going to get hit pretty hard because they have a 50% bonus against me, but it's fine. We still have enough archers overall to win the battle. We have not taken any damage so far. I'd say things are going pretty well. Perfectly balanced. We got resources across the board. Nice. New cards. Reduce the cost of all stone. That means I don't have to harvest as much, which could be fun. Charcoal kilns, get more gold for adjacent forests, or a hidden cave, get additional swordsmen for connected forests and connected mountains. I need more military buildings, so we're going to have to pick that up, even though I wouldn't say it is ideal. Hey, I've got 3 points. Guess what I get to do? Unlock the Republic. Hooray! And the Republic would start with 2 particular cards. The Belfry, which gets a whole new resource I've never seen, and neighborhoods in a city, so it's a totally different game, and Downtown, turn plains and forests into neighborhoods, a unique terrain type. That's pretty cool. Wow, let's go to the university and see what else I can pick up along over here. Boost exploration or more of these technologies. Let's try the exploration this time. I want to see what happens. Increase the exploration multi-row bonus by 1. Okay. So we would get bonuses if I have 1 row or if I have multi-row. So we kind of hedge our bets. Every time we clear something, I get something. It's okay, I guess. A 20% chance to double some resources might be good too, though. Let's just try the optimizer. Why not? Why not? It's fine. It's fine. Who's worried about it? Not me. We're fine. Now, what other cards might I want to upgrade? Because we're about to have to choose between getting extra food or extra gold. Well, I would have liked to get some stone. That would have been nice. I don't think there's anything I'm upgrading here that desperately needs more gold. So I think between the 2, it makes the most sense to go get some additional food. We could spend some of our health to get a lot of extra food, and that's a high-risk play, but I'm not worried about that. Another university? You are too kind. All right, modify cards. Let's see what this does here. After each round, we get a card to choose from. Reduce building cards, upgrade cost by 10%. I mean, yeah. If I reduce all stone costs, this could be good. All right, let's go for masonry. I don't have a lot of stone, so I feel like that's not a bad call. We're going to go to a region with lots of forests and mountains in a second, so hold on. Now that we have that, I can get the hidden cave. So I definitely want to upgrade this, get more military units. In fact, let's actually go ahead and jump in here real quick and just see what else we're working with. I probably want to spend some food to unlock another slot, because I do have 1 more I could work with. Or we could hire up some mercenaries if I'm feeling very threatened. There's a lot of swordsmen here. Okay. Let's go ahead and unlock this slot for sure. I think we'll leave the rest as it is. That leaves me a bunch more resources. Military buildings recruit extra for adjacent production. Is this worth it? I think it might be, actually. Huh. I wasn't really expecting to have to rely on that, but I think, yeah, if we can place military buildings next to production buildings, extra value's not bad. And then I'll upgrade the stone cutter to level 3 just because I have no other real good way of getting stone right now, and that's going to have to be good enough. We could go to the wheelbarrow, but I'll hold on to the remainder of my food for later. That's going to be it. All right, here we go. 1 more round. So, we have horse stables coming up. Okay, so these we want to just place right next to each other, believe it or not. It's a little bit funny, but it's true. So let's go ahead and place you there, place you here. So the way these work is at the end of the round, then they are going to get some extra strength for every square between this stable and the closest building in the same row. So by placing both of these horse stables next to each other, they get the minimum possible value, which is hilarious. So the hidden cave, we want this to be adjacent to some mountains. I'm going to place you along here, and I will fill this in with mountains later. We can place down some fields. I have a hunting lodge. How do I want to do this? Place you along here. We can place down some trees. That gets me more swordsmen. I can place down a hunting lodge here. That gets me some fields as well as more axemen. The stone cutter needs to be next to one of these other buildings. I could place you here, I suppose. It's not as many swordsmen as we could have gotten, but it's at least a nice and neat place, so we'll just do it. I wonder, aligned with it? I just realized the stone cutter is all buildings aligned. It's not just necessarily attached to them. So right here is actually a good spot. I assume it gets value, yeah, from even the enemy building. So this is actually a really good spot for it. This means I now can connect everything up here, which means we can finish out 4 rows at once. So we're going to get a huge multi-bonus in a minute. I will place you along here, getting even more connected forests. We're going to hold on to this training camp, hopefully never play it. Do this, more mountains, more soldiers, loads of resources. Ugh. Ugh. Tell me that wasn't beautiful. I know it was. You know it was. It was. All right, we want to place down a farm somewhere. If I were to place you here, and then Let's see. How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? If I place you there, and then I want to place room for the wood clearer here, we'll do... I guess I'm going to do the fertile grounds over here. It's fine. That does count as a building, so it gets me more value, plus forests, plus blah, blah, blah. We'll place you. I'm trusting right here is fine, because once we get the wood clearer, we're going to get a lot of extra goodness. I could place you along here. I don't want to pull out the training camp, so we're just going to have to accept it. Do that. We've got a lot of fields already placed over here, so I guess I could place the watchtower right here, and that would be fine. So there we go with that. You can go right along here. The wood clearer is going to come right along here, which clears a bunch, turns a bunch more into fields, gets even more archers. This is starting to all come together. Hold on, which of these is weaker? All right, this one will get a lot stronger because it's hard for me to avoid aligning it to a military building. So we're going to leave the mercenary camp. And I guess I will place you right here. It's fine. Mountain doesn't really matter too much. We'll place you right along there. Get some here. That's even more fields. Perfect. And we can place down anything we can just to finish out some more of these rows. And I'm not feeling really picky about how we do it. We're not going to finish this out perfectly, actually. So we're just going to finish out what we can while we can. Let's do one right there. Let's do one right there. Gather up what we can here, place this here, place this here. There we go. We're never going to place that last training camp. Okay, so they gain no value out of having their horses. So that's 23, 22, 23 there. And it's the swordsmen who are weak to the axes. I do have axes, so maybe we can find a way to stack this up. I think we could. If I take these swordsmen, fight here, join up, fight here, join up, fight here, this should work, right? With the 50% boosts from the axemen against their swordsmen, it should be an easy yes. And then those get combined, then we get the 50% boost over here, that fights over there. 74 remaining means 74 more gold. Look at us go! Yeah! Call that a very solid haul. We're playing amazingly so far. Gold diggers. I don't know about that. Lumber camp. Really? Do I need more economic buildings, or do I just want military buildings? I feel like I just want military, so I'm going to go ahead and do a reroll and pray we get something better. A horse stable, we could do the same thing, the closest building in a row, and you just place them far apart, and we get a whole bunch of horses. This is okay. Or a guaranteed 10 garrison, and then every adjacent force becomes a plane and we recruit more. What do I think is going to be more valuable? Honestly, I think the horse stable. So we're going to go ahead and pick this one up. Hopefully I'm right on that. Go to the trading fair. We're going to find some new cards. I could trade some food for some stone. Kind of depends. What do I want? I don't need stone for any of the upgrades that I want. So that doesn't do me much good. It's actually going to be mostly things like lumber. I'm going to spend some gold and get a whole bunch of lumber. All right, going into another hostile region before we end things over here. We have a couple of old towers and a couple of watchtowers. All right, so we need to keep enemies away from mountains and then away from plains. That's going to be tough because it's mostly mountains and plains. What else can we upgrade? We can go for the hidden cave. It's the only thing I need stone for, so that's fine. I don't care about getting the extra gold, don't care about getting the extra food. I'm going to go for the optimizer. We have had a lot of multi-rows, so we might as well get more value. And let's see what happens here. Okay. So we have fertile grounds, we have mountains. I'm going to hold on to this one. The old tower is already in place. I'm going to put you in a corner over here. Let's get some fertile fields. That's going to be worth at least a fair bit. You can get right over... How do I want to do this? Place you right along over here. I think what I'll do, actually, is I'm going to... this might be dumb. I'm going to place you here, and I'm going to slowly move you down and then tuck you guys away. Hold on to you for a minute. Let's place some mountains over here, I guess. That's fine. And then we're going to do the same thing and just kind of tuck you away, like so. And then just lock you away. There we go. Now, as long as we don't place any mountains anywhere close to this, we have nothing to worry about from these old towers. They're officially gone. This watchtower is a problem, though. This now needs to get locked somewhere else. You know, we'll just worry about that in a second. I'm going to place you... How do I want to do this? Got to keep that far away. So we could do something along here, I guess, is fine. Could place down a farm. It's not a good spot for one. Let's place you, watchtower, over here. Unfortunately, it is too close to some fields, so we're kind of stuck there. Place down our hidden cave. That's going to be fine. We can get more value by placing you along there. Good. I'm going to place down the horse stable. This is going to be far enough away from other buildings that we should be able to get a lot of horses. I like that. Can we get this kind of snuck in here? I think the answer is yes. Perfect. Oh, wait, nope, that's more archers. Crap, I didn't think that part through. No! Dang it. Dang it. Okay. What's the range on this thing? Okay, so if I turn this into a field, it'll get even stronger. Oh, God. Right. Place you along there. It's fine, it's fine. Hunting lodge can get tucked in a corner, like so. That's going to get me a little value. We want to connect some force if we can, but I don't think I'm going to get a lot out of that. Yes, that was kind of inevitable. Get the field there. Go for the farm along. I've got to be careful because I'm going to create so many fields. No! All right. Watchtower here. Hang on, there's a method to my madness. Farm here, which seems weird. It makes them so much stronger. All right, hang on. We can place this along like that. That gets a whole bunch more fields. I want to place down the mountains, but I don't have a good spot for this. Yeah, I don't have any good spot for this to work anymore. So I guess it doesn't actually matter, and if that's the case, but this will just create a field. All right, we're going to place you there. It's fine. We'll place you there. Gets value. Fine. Place you here. All right, there we go. That gets me a little bit of at least some trees. So we get some swordsmen. You go here. There we go. More fields. You are aligned with a couple of buildings, so we get a bunch of stone. And some stone. And we get some extra units because it's a production building nearby. Can't pull that trick off again here, so we're going to go ahead and probably just chop down all of these trees and create a couple more fields and therefore some more archers. Lock you away, because I don't want to deal with you. Place you here. We're going to have to create a gap, I'm afraid. I guess we don't have to. I just don't see a better way of getting around it. So we'll do this. That at least is a connected mountain, so we get even more value out of this. We could get some connected forests, which I will do. Get some rows completed over here. Get another connected mountain. Sure, why not? That's fine. And I'm not going to get much better than that, I think. Place. Okay. So, the horses get a whole load of value. We kept one of their buildings locked away. I have lots of military units. We should be completely fine. The problem is I have mostly freaking archers, and I don't actually benefit as much from archers. I think, believe it or not, what I can do is take these swords, 35, and attack here, and we'll still survive. I think. After that, I don't know if it matters, because then I'm not going to have enough units to create enough axes to go fight this. I'll have to reinforce, which means I'll convert it into something else anyway. All right, it doesn't really matter all that much. So knowing that's the case, I guess I'll just go ahead and create tons of swordsmen. Tons of swordsmen, get all of them together, and then just go fight, and that'll be fine. I was trying to find a sneaky way to get as many 50% combat boosts as I could, but I couldn't find it, so instead we'll just make sure we have a bonus against these archers. They go down, and then the rest is just going to be a simple one-for-one trade. We're going to walk away with a lot of gold, 95 out of the arrangement. That was pretty good. So we get all of these resources, 95 gold like so. What do we get for our next card? There's a stone fortress. Ooh. I think I'm going to take that, because depending on what we have in the future, if there's a bunch of mountains, 35% mountains, it could be relevant. Let's take a look at what we're fighting against here. So no enemies this round is deceptive. There's obviously still 120 garrison that we have to face off against. Do I want to keep the horse stable, or do I like to get rid of it and get something else? That's a hard one. I think this time what I'll do is I'll get rid of the wood clearer and get the stone fortress. We could get rid of something else and take on a mercenary camp, but that's 5 military buildings for a boss fight. I feel like we should be fine, especially if there's anything I can upgrade here. Like the stone fortress. It's pretty good. I think I'll take it. And we'll upgrade Optimizer one more time for the heck of it. All right, that's going to have to be good enough. So the way this fight is going to work, there are no enemies except for the actual keep. But what you'll see is all of these little icons along here. If we place a building on any of these traps, doesn't matter if it's a production or a military building, it's going to make the garrison stronger. So for all of these, what you want to do is make sure they are filled with any sort of terrain and then save any of these blank spots for a military building. Easier said than done, I can assure you. Let's go ahead and place that down along there. What can I fill up with some fields? I guess in a good central location is fine. I don't love placing this here. What I could do instead is do this and place a hunting lodge somewhere. Or what else could I do that would make sense? Could do this, and that would fill in some stuff. Sure, yeah, that fills in a few spots. Place down a hunting lodge. Try to start generating a few units. It's not many, but I will take whatever I can get. Hold on to you. The stone cutter, I don't really know what to do with you, if I'm completely honest. I guess I'm just going to place you down over here or something, just out of the way for the moment. It does get me some stone for being adjacent to the keep, so it's not like it's a big deal. We'll place you along here just to block that all off. Place you along here, I guess. Keep the mountains going. Finding a way to fill this in a way that makes sense is much easier said than done, because you're just, at some point, you just kind of have to bite the fact that you're probably going to make these guys stronger by accident, and it's kind of hard to avoid. Like, every time I fill in one of these blank spaces, it just makes me feel bad. It makes me feel real bad inside. But it's all right. Let's go ahead and start getting some of those fields going. We can fill this in. That avoids a few traps, gets me some extra strength. These mountains got locked away, and it's unfortunate, but oh well. We'll place you along there. Ah, okay. So if I place down a stone fortress here, we would get a lot of value. So we're gonna make these guys stronger, but it might still be worth it technically. Go ahead and fill this in just so I can avoid that. Stone fortress, I do think we're going to do this. It's gonna make them stronger, so you're gonna see what happens here in a second. So we get a bunch of archers, but they're gonna gain some extra strength. How much strength do they get? 20. So we gain 30, they gain 20. Is it still worth it? Yes. But does it feel bad? Also yes. Go ahead and place down a few more trees up in that direction. I could place down a horse stable. It's not going to get a lot of value is my problem. There's no good way to do this, I'm afraid. I'm going to have to hold on to you for something else. Let's go ahead and place this up here. It's another joined thing. We can place down the fertile ground, which I guess I'll do here because that does get me some extra archers and strength, which is good. Fill you in, I guess. Sure. We're running out of space very quickly here, though, unfortunately. I don't know how I want to handle this with the hidden cave. There's nowhere really for me to place it except for, like, here. And then we're going to start running out of space. But the thing is, it's kind of okay. Yeah, it is actually kind of okay, because here's the thing. We're gonna run out of space to place tiles, but I don't need to connect a bunch more, like, explore more rows. Let's do this. That gets me at least a few units, right? And then we can place down, I guess, you're fine here. Sure, gets me a little more. And then we'll place down the horse stable over here, which will get at least a little distance from this. And then I was kind of hoping to get something better than this. Sure, it is what it is. All right, that's as good as it's going to get. So, how much strength did we actually manage to generate? A pretty hefty amount, I'm not going to lie. And there's no particular type to these, so we're going to go ahead and join all these forces together and then just attack them, and we're going to throw our might against it and see how many units we actually managed to put together. I do think it's more than 140. In fact, I know it's more than 140. It's 172, so easy win for me, it turns out. All right, even though we left some pretty nasty, ugly spaces, we didn't place unwisely, and as a result, the enemy did not manage to generate too many units. We've gotten through Act 2, by the way, completely flawless. We've had no damage at all. Amazing. I'm going to pick up a level 2 Lucky Finds, 30% chance of getting bonus resources. That's not bad. And now we're moving on into Act 3, which I will not show for this particular video, but you can see it's going to get a lot harder because now we have to get rid of either our plains, forests, or mountains and have wasteland, which means we're about to get limited to only 2 terrain types. What I recommend at this point is sorting through here and deciding which one you can afford to get rid of. In my case, I think I can probably afford to get rid of anything that relies on a forest. That's a wood clearer and a hunting lodge. So I can sell these cards, get a bunch of value back out of them, and then I would just commit to the fact that I'm going to leave the forest, and I have to rely on mountains and plains from here on out. And the final boss is really hard, okay? Like, I kid you not, it is an incredibly difficult fight, but I don't want to spoil it for you because the first time you experience the franticism is really quite fun. But that's where I'm going to end things for today's video. The reason I think that this game is so well done is Tetris is a game that everyone understands. Everyone has played it at some point or another, which means this is inherently a more approachable game, but obviously it is far, far more complicated than mere Tetris. And as a result, I think there's a lot more replayability in something like this. Plus, from the progress tree, there's so much to unlock. Like, it's like a proper roguelike in that you can play this for many rounds, and you're only going to get stronger and more competent as time goes on, but you're going to also find new ways to play, which I just think is exciting. This is a very creative game. I highly, highly recommend it. If you guys would like to learn more about it, I'll include a link in the description down below. In the meantime, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful and interesting in some way. If so, I would ask that you hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.